Joel Embiid trade rumors. That is what we're talking about here on today's 76ers Now, because the Ringer's Bill Simmons on his podcast proposed an Embiid trade to the Los Angeles Lakers that made quite the stir on social media. So we're going to talk about what his trade idea was and if it really does make sense for the Sixers or for the Lakers. But before we get into what Bill Simmons had to say, since we're talking about the Lakers here today, why not take a look at our May sub battle between us here at 76ers Now and the Lakers report here at Chat Sports. Just 6 days into May so far as we sit here on Tuesday, May 6th, and we're down already to the Lakers report in subs picked up this month. Lakers report at 32. We're sitting at just 21 here on 76ers Now. Let's pick up the pace here. I know we can do it. I know how the Sixers fans ride, so let's catch up to the Lakers report in subs. If you're looking for a channel for 76ers news all offseason long, be sure to hit that sub button. So here's what Bill Simmons did have to say on his podcast regarding a potential Joel Embiid trade. You give all of your expiring contracts and a first-round pick, and we'll get you out of the Joel Embiid business. Here's your Embiid get-out-of-jail-free card right now. You don't have to deal with him anymore. That's my favorite Lakers move, all their expirings, and he changes it to 2 first-round picks, and they get Joel Embiid. Austin Reaves, who they mentioned briefly in the conversation, is not in it. Now, of course, the Lakers get linked to every star in the market. Every single offseason, there's a superstar reportedly available for trade or someone that makes sense to be able to be traded. It's always, well, how can the Lakers go out and get this star? And, of course, granted, sometimes the move happens. They got a Luka Doncic. Back, a few years back, they got Anthony Davis. It does happen because they're LA, but they're always linked to every star. So it's no surprise that we're starting to see some NBA media members and such think about and propose the idea of an Embiid trade to the Los Angeles Lakers, given his salary, what sort of his situation is now with Philadelphia, and what happened with the Lakers after they got packed up in the NBA playoffs, and now they kind of have some things to deal with their roster moving forward. They tried to get a center at the deadline with Mark Williams. That fell through when Rob Pelinka said, I'm going to do what it takes to get this team where it needs to be with Luka, with LeBron. We're going to try to shore up that center spot, add more size, and adding Joel Embiid kind of does make sense from that aspect of things. But, of course, when you added Joel Embiid, what are you giving up? Now, I want to address this, too, because on the podcast with Bill Simmons, his co-host, Ryan Russillo, said, and I quote, "I heard Embiid was available at the trade deadline. It'd be irresponsible not to even ask," saying that the Lakers should inquire about Embiid. First of all, this is just a straight-up lie. Joel Embiid could not be traded this past season. Since he signed that extension, it was literally impossible for him to be traded at the trade deadline. I just wanted to throw that out there because I know people are going to ask when it comes to this conversation saying, hey, can it make more sense now for the Sixers to trade Embiid given that he was available? He wasn't available because it wasn't even possible. So had to get that out of the way before I saw some of those comments down in the comments section. So now let's get to what an actual Embiid Lakers trade would look like, according to what Bill Simmons did have to say. He said, throw all your expiring contracts at the Sixers, throw a couple picks, and maybe you can get something to work. So I looked at the numbers, looked at the rosters, put together a trade that makes sense financially, and that would be Joel Embiid going to Los Angeles in exchange for 4 expiring contracts. Rui Hachimura, Dorian Finney-Smith, who has a player option, but we're going to assume he opts in for the sake of this trade, Gabe Vincent, and Maxi Kleber, and then you get a 2030 first-round pick swap and a 2031 first-round pick as well from the Lakers. That is a haul right there of 4 players and 2 first-round picks, one of them being a swap to get for Joel Embiid. Now, if this trade were ever to be proposed, if for some reason the Lakers do come calling to the 76ers about Joel Embiid, and they do offer those expiring contracts and those 2 first-round picks, if I was running the Philadelphia 76ers, I would take that trade without a doubt and run with it. And I know Bill Simmons, proposing that idea of getting those expirings to Philadelphia so that they can have a little more flexibility. Now the Lakers, you got LeBron, you got Luka, you got Joel Embiid. If I'm Philadelphia with his contract and his injury history, his age, and how he just has not been able to stay on the floor over the past couple of years, despite how much I still believe in Joel Embiid, for him to eventually return to that MVP level form, I think when you are able to get a player like Rui Hachimura, Dorian Finney-Smith, who I think can really help this Sixers team in their front court depth, get a couple salary fillers in Gabe Vincent, Maxi Kleber, you get a couple first-round picks, you can add that to your roster, or you can use some of these guys later down the line to make further trades at the trade deadline to bring in a different star that you feel more comfortable can actually stay healthy and is worth the contract you might be paying them. So if the Sixers do make this move, and you're looking next season at a potential lineup that looks like this: Tyrese Maxey, Quentin Grimes. I'm just going to keep assuming in these videos, like I always do, that Quentin Grimes will be back with Philadelphia. It just makes too much sense with him being a restricted free agent. You still have Paul George in the roster, of course. You send out Embiid, so you slide Adem Bona in there at the center spot. I don't want Andre Drummond back on this team. And then I'd probably personally start Dorian Finney-Smith at the 4. You can start Rui Hachimura. It doesn't really matter. And then you add Gabe Vincent. You still have Jared McCain. You have Justin Edwards, Maxi Kleber, and then some other depth pieces along the roster. That's not that bad of a lineup when you consider some of the other assets you're getting. And then you can always flip these assets down the line. Is that a championship contending team? Absolutely not. But you're setting yourself up to have more flexibility moving forward instead of being tied to that huge Joel Embiid contract. Now, of course, the question, will the Lakers make this move? Every deal, you need both teams to accept, right? It's not 2K. You can't turn on forced trade or trade override and make them make the deal. Look, for the Lakers, I really don't think it makes a whole lot of sense. I get, wanting to add in a star player at that center spot, which they need after they moved off Anthony Davis, and making that formidable trio of Luka, of LeBron, of Joel Embiid, right? The idea is great, but that's sort of what we're talking about here with Joel Embiid, is always the idea at this point, because there's no guarantee he's ever going to play more than like 30 games a year moving forward with the condition his knee is in. And then if he's not playing at an MVP level for you, he's going to be making a boatload of money over the next 4 seasons, starting with next year, $55 million, and it only gets more expensive from there, up to nearly $70 million in the 2028-2029 season. So if the Lakers theoretically were to accept this deal and make this move, send out all of their depth pieces that are on expiring deals for Joel Embiid, this is what their roster would be looking like. Obviously, you have LeBron, and you have Luka, and you add Joel Embiid. Those three, that's fantastic. One of the best big threes in the NBA. But how often do we see big threes win when it really matters anymore? You don't really see big threes having that much success in this day and age in the NBA with the salary cap and with the CBA and the apron rules. Now, in this trade, you do keep Austin Reaves. Bill Simmons did specify there is no Austin Reaves in this deal, so another talented fourth player. Jared Vanderbilt is solid. Dalton Connect, what can he do? Moving in a year 2, and then it's like Shake Milton, Bronny James, Jordan Goodwin, and no more tradable first-round picks. Like, you're kind of stuck with this roster. If Joel Embiid's not healthy, which it's a tough thing to bank on, man, you just gave up all your depth, and the team looks even worse than it just did this past season, of course, without making any other moves. But back to a Sixers perspective. Sixers fans, if this deal was on the table this offseason, would you make this trade? Sending out Embiid, getting back some decent players, but mostly flexibility, as all these guys are on expiring contracts, and a couple potentially valuable first-round picks. We'll see. Luka did say he's going to re-up with the Lakers, but still, that's so far out in the future that those could be pretty good first-round picks to add to your collection that includes some potentially valuable Clippers picks as well. So give me an A for accept, D for decline. Let me know your thoughts on this Bill Simmons trade down in the comments section. I would still bet Embiid doesn't get traded, and I put up a poll question on the community tab of the YouTube channel today, and I want to see the results of that really quickly. I asked, not do you want Embiid to get traded, but to predict if you think the Sixers will trade Embiid this offseason. Currently, 423 votes, 67% have said they do not believe Embiid will get traded, and I agree. Everything Daryl Morey has said is that Embiid's not going to be going anywhere, and honestly, the bigger problem with this is a team really going to want to trade for Embiid given his injury history and the contract? I really don't see it happening. I think Embiid will be on this team next year and moving forward. Now, Paul George is a different story. We will see. But look, we're going to hear all these other different trade rumors in the offseason about Joel Embiid. At the end of the day, I don't think it's going to happen, but it is interesting to talk about because it does remain a possibility, even if I do think it is unlikely. Before we hop on out of here, if you're looking to get yourself a Sixers jersey for this upcoming season, there's actually no better time to get a jersey than right now, because over at Fanatics, jerseys are on sale anywhere from 25 to, I've even seen some jerseys up to 50% off. And It's not just jerseys that are from like seasons ago. Like this Tyrese Maxey City jersey from this year is, I believe, almost 50% off at this current moment. So you want to take advantage of these deals while they do still last. You go to chatsports.com/76jerseys, and you can find all different kinds of jerseys, current players, former players like AI, like Dr. J. I'll have that link in the comment section and the description of today's show. Again, that's chatsports.com/76jerseys. All right, if you made it to the end of today's show, hopefully that means you did enjoy what you were watching. If you have not subscribed to the channel, I do encourage you to go ahead and hit that sub button. We do Sixers videos almost every single day here on the channel, and with a draft lottery coming up in about a week, and then, of course, the draft and free agency, a very important offseason for the 76ers, and we will have you covered every step of the way here at 76ers Now.